Hello, everybody. This is Jeff J. Brown, China Rising Radio Sinoland / China Tech News Flash. I'm going to do a little bit of a combo here today. I, I was just I haven't done a China Tech News Flash this month because I've just been watching what's going on in the headlines, and I'm like, it's just amazing. It's just incredible. And by the way, this is completely extemporaneous. I have no notes. I have no nothing. First, the most amazing thing, and as you can see behind me on the green screen, is the film footage of the Arecibo telescope, radio telescope down in Puerto Rico, imploding, collapsing. I mean, and I was reading articles about it, and they knew for 2 years the people at the National Science Foundation in the United States have been saying the cables are going, the structure needs to be repaired, and it could have been easily done. And yet here we have behind me, film footage of drones and cameras watching one of the United States' greatest basic research platforms since World War II. And they knew it was coming down. They knew it was going to collapse. They knew it was just a matter of time. And there was even a drone catching the cable snapping. So for 2 years, the United States government did nothing. They did not fund anything. There was no alarm. No one cared. So last week, or maybe 10 days ago, it collapsed. And, here, and then you juxtapose that with last year, or maybe even early 2020, China opened its ground-based radio telescope dish in Yunnan, and so now China has the world's preeminent radio dish telescope in the world, and the United States has nothing. Well, they do have the VLA in Arizona. I do want to say that, but is it being funded? Are they even using it? I mean, I have no idea. But now China has all these. They're inviting scientists from all over the world to come to their I think they call it the Very Large Telescope, the VLT, the Chinese. The one in Arizona, the one in Arizona is the Very Large Array, VLA. And I love both of them because they were in the movie Contact with Jodie Foster and Matthew McConaughey, and the great book by Carl Sagan, and it was just a great movie. And Arecibo was there, it was just in the movie, and now it's gone. So you're watching that. You're watching the United States government and people knowing, or they should know, that they're about to lose one of their greatest technological treasures in their arsenal, and they're just going to let it die. So now China has the Very Large Telescope, and then you all may have seen, Russia came out and said that the International Space Station is in such awful shape that it may not even last until 2025, when it's supposed to be decommissioned in 2025. They said they don't even know if they can keep it running. And of course, as I've reported on China Tech News Flash, the Americans never let the Chinese onto the International Space Station for supposedly military secrets and all that, testing bean sprouts in space and mushrooms in space. And so, it never really was truly international. It was always, Western, and they let people in as they, as they wanted, as they wanted to. Enemy states not allowed. And so, and then, like right after that, China lands their lunar module on the moon, and they were actually nice enough to put a little robot camera that actually went away from the went away from the module, and taking pictures, movie pictures of this explorer taking samples, 2 kilograms of moon rock and dirt samples, packed them up, and then you could sit there and watch the little rocket from the top with the 2 kilograms go shoot off into space. It perfectly connected with the satellite, the reentry vehicle, connected it, and it's coming back, and it's going to land in somewhere probably out in Xinjiang. So now China has rock samples. Now you can argue all you want. We can have a wonderful debate, but if you read Dave McGowan's Wagging the Moon Doggy, I don't think we ever went to the moon back in the 1960s, but that's another story. So, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, China will now have the first rocks, lunar rocks, on Earth, and so and they've already done their Mars thing, and NASA's trying to compete with them. But it's tough. I mean, it's just, it's China. China tech is relentless. And then just this week, it's Sunday, but just last week, China announced that and I've reported about this on China Tech Newsflash, that a quantum computer, but now China has actually gotten their quantum computer to actually use, real atoms, to doing computational problems with this new quantum computer they've built, using atoms. And what's amazing, and I didn't get into what the difference was with Google, but Google has their quantum computer, but apparently it's not now. It is now number two. Google is now behind China in terms of quantum computers. Not only that, but Google's quantum computer, which is now not as good, also has to be kept. The entire system has to be kept at near absolute zero. Minus 270 degrees Celsius, whatever that is in Fahrenheit, 400 and something, minus 400 and something, and in Fahrenheit, the new Chinese quantum computer, the entire system only has to be kept at minus 20 degrees, which is your deep freezer. So you got a deep freezer, and so you put your quantum computer in your deep freezer. The only part that they have to store at near absolute zero is the actual, almost like the little processor in the middle. Unbelievable. And then Huawei is going into cars. I mean, they're unstoppable. In fact, I will. I'll post a graph just to show you where Huawei is in sales. The West can't deal with 5G without Huawei. I mean, they are going to have to use Huawei, and I think there's a lot. In fact, I'm speculating that all these delays, like France is saying, well, in 2028 and 2025, we'll have to remove all of our Huawei equipment. Well, who's looking? I mean, and by the way, just to let you know where we are here in France, modern France, this week in December of 2020, we finally got cable in 2020. Up until now, we were being forced to use an ADSL copper telephone line for our internet. This is supposedly in, technologically advanced the West, and in Bayeux, the prefecture, like the county, the county town, only 7 kilometers from us. That's a big town. I mean, it's like the county seat, and at least half, if not 3/4 of the town doesn't even have fiber or cable. So you're sitting there, and then 5G. Well, China just 2 or 3 weeks ago launched a 6G satellite. So China is already moving into 6G, which is with terahertz instead of megahertz. It's with terahertz, trillion hertz instead. And so, what's the West doing? Well, NATO is occupying Afghanistan so that they can process all the heroin and ship it back to Europe and the United States and push it into all the poor, minority neighborhoods. They're in Iraq, stealing Iraq's oil. They're in Syria, stealing Syria's oil. And so you can't do it. You can't do everything. And so if the United States alone, not even to mention Europe, is borrowing $1 trillion a year to maintain their global empire, and you can't do it all. And I would say that watching this, Arecibo thing, and then just seeing what China is doing day after day. I mean, I've got like 50 pages of hyperlinks of stuff that I can't keep up. I cannot keep up with all that they're doing. And so this is a cautionary note. I mean, we are literally, Arecibo is sort of the harbinger of the collapse of the American empire, and it's a metaphor. It's a metaphor. They're too busy trying to overthrow China and Hong Kong. They're too busy trying to, destroying Ukraine. They're too busy trying to cause mischief in Myanmar. They're too busy trying to cause problems in Thailand. They're too busy, trying to overthrow Iran. They're too busy trying to overthrow Venezuela, stealing their overseas assets. What can I say? So as we close out this year, and I'm going to try a whole new system for 2021 and see if that works. And then you just see the horrible what's going on in the United States with you can say Biden won, but Biden didn't win. I mean, they just massively stole that election. I mean, every election in the in the United States has been jury rigged to a certain extent, even going back to George Washington. I mean, it's built into the Constitution. But this one was just like massively flagrant. I mean, it's just banana republic. I mean, it's sad to watch. And so this is where I'm kind of thinking about, and I just don't know what to say as I watch all this going around, and then we've got the COVID reset here in Europe. My friend T.P. Wilkinson in Portugal said they're already saying in the press in Portugal that 60% of the restaurants will go bankrupt in Portugal. Of course, those are all family owned, individually owned, small operators. And now my wife told me in the French press, they're also saying that 60% of the restaurants will be forced into bankruptcy because of the police state confinement, lockdown. And so what a coincidence, 60% in Portugal and 60% in France. So, it's just, I don't know what to say. If you're living in China and elsewhere, you're, in some socialist, communist, anti-imperial country, I think you're probably going to be a lot better off in the next few years, because it's just looking very, very ugly here in Europe, and with the police state lockdown and the destruction of the economy and the Great Reset that's going to be coming up for us. And then you look at what's going on in the United States and the three-ring political circus, and whether it's Biden or Trump, the country is just going to be roiling with turmoil and instability. So, and China just keeps right on pumping and humping and producing and moving forward. All right. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.